The idea of greenhouse thinking is, if the world is changed, why are organizations operating in the same way? What if an organization could emulate a greenhouse, right? With the right ingredients, with the right thinking, with the right systems, with the right models, so it can flourish.
We're here with Dr. Chitra Anand. Thank you so much. Executive professor, keynote speaker, author. I mean, the list is too long. If I was to list out everything that you do, the time for this video would be over. But thank you so much for spending some time with me today. We know each other from back in our shared Microsoft days a long time ago, but we've stayed in touch, and people might not know, but we actually live close together as well, which is fun. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully. Thank you for asking, Jasper.
Awesome. Now, I wanted to start with the book about the greenhouse approach that you wrote for organizations that want to create a culture of entrepreneurship, if you will. Before we get started there and see and get some of your insights on not just what organizations can do, but with all the new technology coming out, what is really interesting. For people that are new to the concept of intrapreneurship, can you just quickly highlight for them, like, this is what this really is about?
Absolutely. So the fundamental definition of entrepreneurship is somebody who takes an entrepreneurial approach from within a larger complex organization to drive new business models, creative thinking, and really a culture of innovation.
Yeah. And so you wrote this book, came out 2019 with a clear model, if you will, for like, hey, these are some key elements that you need to have as an organization to make sure that people can feel maybe confident, comfortable, and free to adopt this mindset. And then all of a sudden, a few months later, the world completely changes, and the way that we do business is impacted across the board. Have you seen this seismic shift fueled in large by the pandemic over the last 4 years? Have you seen specific trends evolve in the world of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so let me take a few steps back before I tackle that question, if I may, Jasper.
Of course.
The context through which I started to do my PhD research was, I grew up in large, complex organizations. So I spent, 10 years at TELUS, a few years at a software company out in Waterloo called OpenText, and then I spent a portion of my time within Microsoft. And the ethos of really the inspiration towards entrepreneurship was, these organizations want to move quickly. They want to, take some level of risk. They want to be somewhat, experiment with new ideas, but there's a hesitation to do so, right? And we talked about this a little bit earlier, just before the interview, of how things move so slowly throughout organizations, right? But they have to, because of size and complexity and by design, right? You need process, you need procedures, you need all of these governance models in order to scale the organization. But it creates a bit of a challenge, because with that, comes a delay in time in terms of how things happen. And so when I started to, when I spent time at TELUS, for example, I'm like, why can't we do little micro experiments? Why can't we, take some element of risk? How do we, and so the inspiration to the thesis was really around providing a contribution in the market in a meaningful way, so that organizations can have a more pragmatic, systematic approach to becoming agile, to becoming, true innovators in terms of how they create new products, service, business models, interact with customers, adopt new technologies, etc. So that was really the ethos of it. Fast forward now, I wrote a book in 2019. I had a publisher approach me and say, it's a very interesting concept. Would you write a book on it? And so the idea of greenhouse thinking is, if the world is changed, why are organizations operating in the same way? What if an organization could emulate a greenhouse, right? With the right ingredients, with the right thinking, with the right systems, with the right models, so it can flourish. And so within that, there's many different elements in the book, which I'm sure you've read, but also understanding that organizations need a system and approach, which really led to the formation of the greenhouse model.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a specific question to follow that with. In the world that you wrote that book in, we see people in large organizations, people like yourself, that come into an organization with that spirit. They want to, be a change agent, right?
Right.
And organizations, especially larger and complex ones, were challenged in letting that shine, if you will.
Yes.
Do you see in the future, or maybe today, the tables getting turned, that organizations are going to be more proactive in looking for those kinds of people? And would you even expect, so like today, every job, I recently spoke to a friend of mine who is very much in the AI space.
Yes.
Job descriptions these days, it doesn't matter which it is, there's always going to be, you need to have excellent communication skills. Preferably, how to use PowerPoint and Excel and whatever. Yes. And we were talking about him expecting that experience with AI is going to be as table stakes as those things. Are you going to expect to see things pop up that are going to become common, where organizations are looking for that spirit more?
Well, I think it's a very good question. And here's my answer to that is I believe that entrepreneurship is an imperative now. I wrote an article in partnership with the Globe and Mail, which I'll share with you. But coming out of the pandemic, I really do believe that entrepreneurship is an imperative. And my work was actually recognized as some of the work that's going to help us recover from the economy, moving forward. And so what I would say to that essentially is, we are seeing things like culture shifts towards a culture of innovation. I don't believe that organizations should have these think tanks or have these siloed groups where people are responsible for innovation or innovative thinking or risk taking. It needs to be groundswell. Okay. And that's really about encouraging team members to become more creative thinkers, taking risks and exploring new ideas. You and I both know that working in these big organizations, matrix organizations, requires cross-functional collaboration, be it HR, finance, product, etc. And so in order to do that, you have to find ways where people can come together to ideate, to solve, etc. And you see that in the model as well. I'm very clear on, in identifying people within your organization that's going to take your idea from ideation to execution. And the only way to do that is to find your way through the organization and through the different types of teams that are going to help you execute on that. I think one of the most important things, and I think we briefly talked about it before, is you have to incentivize entrepreneurship, right? You have to incentivize, because we are human beings. We have to recognize that in order to inspire and encourage certain behaviors, you need to recognize people for that. How do you get people to become, how do you create a habit? How do you create somebody to do repetitive behavior? You need to recognize, right? And whether it's career progression, whether it's career development, opportunities, compensation, providing them with funding, etc., to facilitate some of the projects and that they want to execute on, it's absolutely critical. You asked me a question about technology. I think that in today's world, that these models and thinkings are critical to work in partnership with the new technologies that are hitting the market. So it's not going to be somebody who's working alone in technology, or, we're talking about AI. I'm a firm believer that, AI it's not the people, AI is not going to replace jobs. It's AI, what we have to think about is the risk of people who know how to use AI. And it's going to be a partnered approach. AI is not human. We are human. You can't replace the power of you and I in terms of our critical thinking and creativity and our intuition that we use in order to make good business decisions.
We have however, those tools now available, tools that didn't exist a few years ago with the explosion of, OpenAI and all that kind of good stuff. What is interesting also, which fits in so well with your model, is that, even as only in 2019 ago, when the book came out, the think tanks that were responsible for innovation within an organization were the lucky few that were funded to have access to these technologies. And those technologies at the time were mostly about scale, taking in more data than a human could and so on. But today, everybody that works in an organization through OpenAI has access to, consumerized technology, if you will. You don't have to rely on the people in the think tank to, do some, really creative conversations, where you have today a PR co-op that could have a brilliant idea, try some things out by themselves, and then bring it to the table. Let me use that as a segue for my final question to you. Knowing what we're seeing today, in the change, hopefully, of culture, in the change of younger people, or maybe not younger is not the right word, maybe less senior or less role-specific people feel more confident in trying to bring new ideas, and also this explosion of technology that you just mentioned.
Right.
All of these things combined.
Yes.
2024 is here.
Yes.
What excites you about 2024 in this field?
Right. Well, I'm excited about the worlds colliding. I think that people are worried about AI. I think people are, dismissing different things that are happening that are, let's say that are not technology related. But, technology is now part of everybody's job. It's part of everybody's industry. Every company should be a tech company in some respect. What excites me is the collision of the two worlds together, entrepreneurial thinking, and then you layer that in with advanced technology such as AI. And so what's exciting is the power of the two coming together. So for example, in the model, like, what could AI do to make this model more powerful? Well, think about what AI is capable of doing: data synthesis, pattern recognition, all of those things. So when you're going through and applying the model, or if you're doing it over, for several different projects or initiatives, using different teams, what you can do is really rely on some of the technology to help it become even more powerful. So for that, that to me is really, really exciting. And what it's going to do is it will really enable organizations to really focus a little bit more on corporate venturing. So where are they going to invest in? Who are they going to partner with? Are there, how are they going to bring more innovation to the organization? And really that can be developed in-house. And that then, enables organizations to become much more agile, to have, more lean methodologies. And these are all entrepreneurial in terms of how they've been designed. And so all of these approaches together will really help you develop a model and process that's iterative. You get, faster feedback loops that you and I talked about, and it's going to help organizations move quickly and do it with an ease and confidence that didn't exist before. Jesper, do you get it?
I got it.
You have your own skill set that you have gained throughout your life. And now how do you complement that with AI? Because if you do not, you will be replaced by another person that has the trait of how to complement themselves with AI.